An alien disguised as a beautiful woman lures men with the promise of fun, but they face a grim fate in her trap. The film begins with Laura, an emotionless young woman, stripping another girl of her clothes, who lies there unresponsive and offering no resistance. Whether the girl is alive remains unclear, and Laura shows no empathy. With a blank expression, she takes the girl's clothes, including her underwear, and wears them. A tear falls from the motionless girl's eye, but Laura is indifferent, more intrigued by an ant crawling on her stomach, as though she's never seen such a creature before. Is it possible Laura isn't human? We later discover that the motionless girl was found by a biker on the roadside in the Scottish mountains. It seems he knew exactly where she was, showing no concern or interest in helping her. With cold detachment, he carried her from the bushes and loaded her into a van, delivering her to Laura. After changing into the girl's clothes, Laura leaves the motionless girl in a strange, wall-less room and exits the house, located in a bleak suburb. Outside, the biker retrieves his motorcycle from the van's trunk, leaving the vehicle for Laura. They exchange no words, following a seemingly predetermined plan that needs no discussion. Laura confidently drives off, heading downtown. In a crowded mall, Laura visits a clothing and cosmetics store. Nearby, women are having their makeup done in a beauty salon, and Laura seems to observe them, attempting to mimic their behavior. After purchasing a fur coat, she applies bold red lipstick in her car. Slowly driving through town, she carefully watches the men passing by, uninterested in a group of rowdy soccer fans. Who is she looking for? She doesn't appear to be a typical seductress. Rather, she's searching for a solitary victim, someone who won't be missed. Eventually, she stops next to a lone man and asks for directions with a friendly smile and flirtatious demeanor, trying to coax him into her van. During their conversation, the man reveals that he's waiting for friends around the corner. Laura's interest fades, and her smile disappears. She continues her search into the evening, but still hasn't found a suitable target. When she finally spots another man, she strikes up a casual conversation, learning that he lives and works alone, with no one expecting him. This is the type of man she needs. She immediately offers him a ride, which he eagerly accepts. As they drive, Laura asks seemingly innocent questions about his life, but he soon grows uneasy and insists on being dropped off. After letting him out, Laura drives on, her face emotionless. With her next target, however, she changes her approach. Laura immediately begins flattering and flirting with the guy, who eagerly responds to her advances. Sensing that he's interested in some fun, she invites him over. Unaware of the danger ahead, he agrees. They arrive at an abandoned house, entering a strange room lined with a solid black mirror. Excitedly, Laura leads him in and begins undressing him as they walk. The man, caught off guard, doesn't notice the eerie atmosphere. As he removes his clothes, he starts to sink into a murky liquid. Barely realizing what's happening, he continues sinking without a word. Laura, indifferent, walks forward without looking back. The man vanishes completely into the black mirror, and it returns to its solid form. Laura calmly puts her clothes back on and continues her search. She seems tireless, a machine programmed to lure lonely men into this dark trap. As she drives through the city, her gaze is empty, focused straight ahead. By morning, Laura finds herself on a beach, watching a lone swimmer. Her unwavering stare draws the man toward her, eager to make conversation. During their chat, he reveals that he's a tourist from the Czech Republic, traveling alone and staying in Scotland to escape. Their conversation is cut short by the frantic screams of a man trying to rescue his drowning wife in the stormy sea, surrounded by dangerous rocks. The Czech tourist rushes to help, managing to save the man, though his wife is lost beneath the waves. In a desperate attempt to save her, the rescued husband dives back into the sea, never to return. Laura watches the scene unfold without emotion. The exhausted tourist eventually washes ashore, barely conscious. Seizing the moment, Laura picks up a large rock and strikes him on the head, knocking him out. As she drags him across the beach, she notices a crying baby, left alone after the parents were lost to the sea. But this doesn't stir any emotion in her. Laura places the unconscious tourist in her car and heads back to the abandoned house. By nightfall, her biker accomplice arrives at the beach to collect the tourist's belongings, ensuring that no one will search for him. The biker leaves the helpless child behind, ignoring the incoming night and the roaring sea. After dealing with the Czech tourist, Laura moves on, seeking her next target. She follows a lonely man through a deserted parking lot, but is suddenly pulled into a nightclub by a group of drunk girls. The flashing lights and loud music unsettle her, as she's unfamiliar with expressing emotion. She quickly tries to leave. On her way out, a fast-talking man approaches, telling her that he's been watching her and that he's single, clearly eager to have a good time. Laura eagerly agrees to spend more time with the man and returns to the dance floor. They get to know each other in a more secluded setting, unaware that the man is about to fall under the spell of the black mirror. Slowly, Laura undresses, luring him like a black widow into her trap. Mesmerized, he follows her and gradually sinks into a dark, liquid substance, staring at her in a trance until the very end. Once fully submerged, he experiences weightlessness, helplessly watching as Laura walks away. He notices another victim nearby, seemingly still alive, but whose body has softened as if being prepared for something sinister. The two men reach out to one another, seeking support, but suddenly the man's insides are violently sucked out, leaving only his skin floating in the liquid. The remaining man is left in shock, realizing he will likely meet the same fate. It becomes clear that these men were drawn into this trap by lust, sinking into a black void of desire, leaving nothing behind but hollow shells of their former selves. Afterward, a conveyor belt appears, like in a horrifying meat factory, transporting the red liquid toward an unknown destination, seemingly processed into energy for the mysterious villains, though the exact purpose is unclear. One can't help but wonder what they do with the leftover skin. Meanwhile, Laura resumes her hunt. While stuck in traffic, she receives a rose from a bored stranger. She doesn't grasp the meaning of the gesture, but is captivated by the scarlet liquid on the vendor's hand as he bandages an injury. For the first time, Laura shows curiosity about humans. Still sitting in the car, she listens to the radio, where a news report details a recent tragedy at sea. A family was lost in a storm, and only the father's body, a 36-year-old chemistry professor from Edinburgh, was recovered. His wife and young child remain missing, their search halted due to heavy fog. Laura seems to recognize who they're talking about, yet her face remains devoid of sympathy. Will she ever grasp the value of human life? For now, it seems unlikely, as she soon lures another victim with ease. The man showers her with compliments, but his fate is already sealed. Laura leads him to the same abandoned house, repeating the familiar process. Later, she meets with the biker, who could be her partner or superior. He examines Laura closely, as if suspecting something, particularly studying her eyes. Finding no sign of emotion, the biker seems satisfied and walks away. Soon, Laura is walking down a crowded street when she suddenly stumbles and feels something resembling pain for the first time. She remains on the ground, surprised by the sensation, as passers-by kindly help her to her feet. At that moment, something within Laura begins to change. She starts observing people differently, perhaps developing a sense of empathy, and for the first time, she may be starting to see herself as part of the human world. After letting her guard down briefly, Laura encounters a gang of aggressive teenagers who try to break into her van. Alarmed by their behavior, she quickly starts the vehicle and drives away to safety. Continuing through town, Laura finds her next target, a deeply unhappy man suffering from a rare condition. His appearance is unusual, and he only ventures out at night to do basic shopping. He has no relationships, avoids people, and has never had a girlfriend. After luring him into her van, Laura learns that he lives a lonely existence without friends and with very low self-esteem. She flatters him with compliments and even allows him to touch her, easily capturing his fragile heart and drawing him into her trap. The man, overwhelmed by disbelief, keeps insisting this must be a dream. Laura begins her usual routine, immersing the man in the strange liquid. But as she's about to leave, she pauses in front of a mirror, staring at her reflection. A sudden pang of guilt seems to overcome her, and in an unexpected twist, she decides to show mercy. She frees the man from his captivity, allowing him to escape. Shocked and naked, he stumbles through the fields, trying to find his way home. Meanwhile, the familiar biker speeds down the highway. Somehow aware of Laura's emotional slip, he tracks down the man and eliminates him to prevent him from becoming a witness. The biker knocks him out and stuffs him into the trunk of a car. As he leaves, he notices a neighbor watching him. Perhaps she will meet the same fate. Sensing danger, Laura quickly drives out of the city. Abandoning her van in the middle of the road, she sets off on foot, wandering through the foggy mountains. The morning fog reflects her inner confusion, as she has broken the system and now feels lost, unsure of what to do next. Eventually, Laura stumbles upon a small mountain town. She enters a cozy tourist cafe with panoramic windows and, curious to experience something normal people enjoy, orders a slice of cake. However, when she tastes it, she immediately spits it out, drawing confused glances from the other patrons. Human food is clearly not for her. Leaving the cafe, Laura continues walking along the road. At a bus stop, a kind man advises her to wait for the bus, which will arrive shortly. Laura, uncertain of her next move, listens to him and decides to wait. The man offers his help, and after some hesitation, Laura accepts. The man takes her to a supermarket, buys what he needs, and brings her to his home. Attentive and caring, he introduces Laura to new experiences. She watches a comedy show on TV with interest, taps her fingers along with the music on the radio, and observes him moving around the kitchen. This time, she avoids the food, perhaps remembering the unpleasant cake experience earlier. Later, the kind bachelor sets up a room for Laura, brings her tea, turns on a heater, and leaves her to rest. Left alone, Laura strips off her clothes and examines her human body in front of a mirror. She never had the chance to do this before, as her focus was always on luring men without asking questions. Meanwhile, the biker and others like him are frantically searching for her, organizing an emergency effort to track her down. Laura, however, seems content to embrace a quiet human life for a while, deciding to stay with the kind man who rescued her. He gives her plenty of attention, showing her around the local sites and treating her with care and affection. He even carries her over puddles to keep her dry. And when they visit an old castle, Laura reveals her fear of heights. The man gently supports her, helping her down the steep stairs, which leaves Laura looking at him as if he were her savior. Warm feelings begin to grow between them. After returning home, they share a tender moment, and for the first time, it seems like Laura is seeking love, not danger. During intimate foreplay, however, Laura suddenly jumps up, grabs a lamp, and examines her body in surprise. The man, confused but patient, lets her continue. It appears Laura had no idea about certain aspects of her anatomy, as she never reached this point with any of her previous victims. Without a word, she leaves the bewildered man and heads into the woods, needing time alone to process her thoughts. Laura wanders through the misty, rain-soaked forest and encounters a lumberjack, who awkwardly tries to make conversation, advising her to be careful as the terrain is slippery. She thanks him and continues walking. Meanwhile, the bikers are still patrolling the roads, searching for her. Eventually, Laura finds a tourist lodge where she can shelter from the rain. She lies down to rest, but is suddenly confronted by the lumberjack, who tries to assault her. Laura breaks free and flees into the woods, but realizing she can't hide, she runs onto a nearby road. She discovers a large logging truck, but is unable to find the keys. For the first time, Laura experiences real human fear, much like her victims did when trapped in the Black Mirror. The lumberjack appears in the distance, and in desperation, Laura honks the horn, hoping for help, but no one is around. She abandons the truck and continues running, but the lumberjack catches up, throwing her to the ground and tearing at her clothes. Laura fights back, but nearly gives up, until her skin cracks open, revealing black fluid beneath. Horrified, the man recoils, as if she were some kind of unearthly creature. In shock, the lumberjack flees, while Laura peels off the rest of her human skin, revealing her true black, alien form. She gazes at her discarded human face, as if trying to understand the divide between her alien self and the human she tried to become. It seems that nothing else matters anymore. But the lumberjack returns, dousing her in gasoline and setting her ablaze. The burning creature makes no sound, asking for no help. She runs into a snow-covered clearing, collapsing as the flames consume her. Smoke rises into the sky as snow gently falls. From a distant mountain, the motorcyclist watches as his fallen companion is reduced to ashes. Do you think the heroine could have lived as an ordinary human? And what do you think aliens truly seek in a person's inner world? Let's discuss in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.